what exists other than the ego. This is what Jung terms the unconscious on the one hand, and on the other hand, the collective unconscious. So you have the personal unconscious on the one hand and the collective unconscious on the other hand. And what these two sort of realms are basically are the gaps within that which the ego constructs to be itself. Now these gaps are, on the one hand, the personal unconscious as the literal gaps. So you may say something like, I grew up as a child and I went to kindergarten and it was also beautiful, and then you leave out essentially because it is repressed the fact that you've been raped when you were 3 years old by your kindergarten supervisor or whatever. So that would be the personal unconscious, right? And this for Jung has many dimensions that we went into in other videos. Now, the collective unconscious is a sort of layer below that, and for Jung, the collective unconscious essentially has a structuring function. So the collective unconscious structures reality as we know it. It structures reality by virtue of providing the trajectories along which the ego can unfold or manifest contents along what he calls complexes. And these complexes can be imagined sort of as the shelves on the shelf, as the individual pockets kind of on the shelf that is behind you, if you will, right? So you have certain shelves on which you can put books, and those are separated sort of, if you will, thematically. And for Jung, this would mean that at the core of every complex, you have an archetype that then sort of decides or dictates which elements cluster around it. This process of clustering, of course, is, again, unconscious. Like, we don't know this happens. But we know by virtue of certain energies rising from this core, from the archetypal core, that then activate the contents around it, the personal contents that may be unconscious or partly conscious, and springing into the ego, influencing our behavior. Now, the ego is basically the central complex of the psyche, which sort of narrates the relationship of all the other complexes. Now, the question obviously now becomes, okay, well, this is all great, but what is the synchronistic moment?